Bobby Kennedy does it again. Listen to this. This just should make you angry.
What you would do if you wanted to find the answer, which is to compare outcomes in a fully vaccinated group to health outcomes in an unvaccinated group. And CDC did that study in 1999. They brought in a team of scientists under a Belgian researcher named Thomas Verstraeten, and they looked at the data. They looked at children who had received the hepatitis vaccine within the first 30 days of life, and compared those children to children who had received the vaccine later or not at all. And they found an 135% elevated risk of autism among the vaccinated children. And it shocked them. They kept the study secret, and then they manipulated it through 5 different iterations to try to bury the link. And, we know how they did it. They got rid of all the older children, essentially, and just had younger children who were too young to be diagnosed. And they stratified the data, and they did a lot of other tricks. And all of those studies were the subject of that kind of trickery.
So I don't know if what I heard was correct. That's the Secretary of the Health and Human Services agency inside the United States government. He's the head of it that oversees the FDA and the CDC. And he's saying that there was a study in 1999 that showed over an 1,100% increase in autism from the hepatitis vaccine, which is the first vaccine they give a kid. And he's saying that they suppressed it. Let me make sure I heard it right, because I want to play it again. Let me make sure I heard it right.
What you would do if you wanted to find the answer, which is to compare outcomes in a fully vaccinated group to health outcomes in an unvaccinated group. And CDC did that study in 1999.
So if you wanted to see if there was a difference in outcomes of autism from kids who got the hepatitis vaccine and kids who didn't, that's what you would do. That's what he just said. And they did it. According to him, they did that study. Let's listen.
They brought in a team of scientists under a Belgian researcher named Thomas Verstraeten, and they looked at the data. They looked at children who had received the hepatitis vaccine within the first 30 days of life, and compared those children to children who had received the vaccine later or not at all. And they found an 135% elevated risk of autism among the vaccinated children. And it shocked them. They kept the study secret, and then they manipulated it through 5 different iterations to try to bury the link. And, we know how they did it. They got rid of all the older children, essentially, and just had younger children who were too young to be diagnosed. And they stratified the data, and they did a lot of other tricks. And all of those studies were the subject of that kind of trickery.
Jesus Christ. You wouldn't call for regime change in another country if you heard they did this shit like this?
Yeah, like if another country did this to your kids, there'd be loud calls for regime change of that country. But just keep believing in the United States that they would never do this to your kids. I'm sure it'll work out. Just keep believing. I know people right now that have just had a baby, and I warned them. I sent them information. They're going to give your kid a hepatitis vaccine, and here's the data on this. And by the way, why would you need to give a hepatitis vaccine? You know how you contract hepatitis? You could through intravenous drug use or unsafe sex. Why would you give that to a baby? Why would that be the first one you give to a baby? That's my question.
This is a Satan country. That's why.
So I
said, great Satan, they used to call it, but we're not great. It's just Satan.
So I sent that information to my friend, who I guess didn't look at it, and he told me, yeah, they gave my kid the hepatitis. I said, didn't you? Why would you allow that? And he said, oh, his reasoning was this. Well, it's the first one they give them. That's what he said. But that's a verbatim what he said. He goes, well, it's the first one they give them. And And I'm not
mass
going to
mind control. It's called mass mind control. You're hearing. You're describing it. We had the lady on mass mind control. We are not done with that. I believe Bobby is a good dude and wants to do it. He did everything Israel wanted, and we did everything Israel wanted. Now maybe we're going to get some fake reform. But I don't believe it's coming. I believe they're going to thwart it. They got a million ways to do it, and every single time they do it. They dodge the thing every time. Going back to when they killed his dad and his uncle. And that's when we established Americans are dumb as shit because everybody went, oh, just keep moving along and America's good. They took over the country then completely, and it's never been fixed. And you're going to watch them poison you on purpose forever until people stop doing what your friend just said. Oh, that's the first one they give. It's really sickening.
It was heartbreaking for me to have that conversation. It was heartbreaking. You let your kid take a hepatitis vaccine without questioning it or looking into it. How do you not look into it? These are the same people who didn't look into COVID because they were told not to.
Does that make sense?
Your baby, they're going to give your baby a drug, a baby.
For hepatitis.
For hepatitis. And you don't stop, you don't try to question that?
Well, I don't know where the baby goes at night, Jimmy. I don't know what this kid gets up to.
They're going to,
Look, I don't want my baby to be intravenous drug using and sexually active, but, kids are going to do what they do. You got to give them the vaccine.
Well, hopefully hopefully the vaccine has a lot of aluminum in it, so your kids will forget what shit parents you turned out to be.
Yeah, tell me use nicotine to try to stave off the cancer.
Trust the science, Kurt.
Yeah, that's what Hitler said, all right.
Kurt, that was honest. That was, of all the conversations I've had this year, that was one of the most hard to get over and hard to get out of my head.
Yeah, no, it'll haunt you forever. I mean, I'm going to be
I'm like a bit. That's the first one they give them. That was what he said. That's the first one they give them.
I've heard a variation on that every single day since I started to work for this show. And it's like I can't even stomach it. People say the dumbest shit to me, and it's like I'm in a zombie movie, and not like the undead ones, like the old school voodoo zombie. And I'm like, do you hear what you're saying? No.
Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Toronto, Red Bank, New Jersey, Northampton, Massachusetts, Concord, New Hampshire, Oxnard, California, Rutherford, New Jersey, New York, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.